Hi, my name is Lily and welcome to my channel, and today I am going to be reacting to Bookish, Reddit, Am I the Arsehole stories. So, if you don't know what Reddit and Am I the Arsehole is, Reddit is a forum, and there's this subreddit, which is a subforum called Am I the Arsehole, and this is where people go to basically ask the question, am I the arsehole in this situation? So I have picked out some bookish and writing related Am I the Arsehole stories to go through with you today, and I'm going to give my reactions. This is my disclaimer that these are all my own opinions, and we don't know if any of these stories are true. Some of them could be fake, they could be trolls, but we're going to react to them anyway. These are my reactions. Please don't take it too personally if you disagree. In fact, if you do disagree, let me know in the comments below and we can have a discussion about it. So there are 4 different judgments that can be given on Am I the Arsehole other than not enough information. So you have You're the Arsehole, which means that the OP, the original poster, is the arsehole. You can have Not the Arsehole, which means that OP is not the arsehole, but the person they are talking about is the arsehole. You can have Everybody Sucks here, which means everybody is the arsehole, or you can have No Arseholes here, which means nobody sucks. So those are different judgments. I will try my best to dole out judgments, but sometimes I think it's not quite as easy to fit them out into things. So I have not read these stories. I went through and picked out some of the headline questions that I thought stood out the most to me, and then I asked my boyfriend to go through and pick out some of the juicier ones for us to go through. I have opened up all the tabs and I'm going to pick them randomly and go through them. I'm going to try and go for the juicier ones first, but there might be some in there that are less juicy, but we'll see how it goes. I personally love watching Am I the Arsehole videos and reactions and reading these kind of stories on Reddit, and I'm not too bothered about whether they're real or not. I just enjoy the journey and I like thinking about things and asking the questions. So hopefully you can come along this ride with me, because this is one of my favourite hobbies. So I can see the judgment that has been given by Reddit, but I'm going to try to not let that influence my opinion. So the first one we have is, am I the arsehole for reporting my friend to his work and getting him fired because he refused to give my books back? So, I like to play a game of guessing just from the title whether I think someone's the arsehole or not. Based on that title, I would have guessed they are the arsehole, but let's see. So I, 27 female, recently had some friends over at my house for my birthday. I have a book collection with some signed books by relatively famous authors. Oh yeah, this is already going bad. They're not behind a locked shelf or anything, but they're in my room. That's normal. After they left, I noticed that a few of my books were gone, and someone mentioned that Jay, 28 male, claimed I let him borrow the books. I called Jay and yelled at him about lying and stealing my books. He tried to explain that he was taking them to his work, which was a bookstore, to get them officially appraised, and it was supposed to be a surprise gift. I chewed him off, I think she meant chewed him out, and asked him how that's considered a gift, and I wanted the books back. He refused. I told him I'll be calling the cops to his work if he doesn't, and he still refused to bring them back. I immediately called the cops to file a police report and waited until the morning to call his work. I gave them all the details, including the case number, and said I'll be coming with an officer to get my books back from Jay that day. His work cooperated with me and promptly fired Jay after I got my books back. Jay claims that I went too far over a few books and demands that I give him money until he finds another job. Am I the arsehole? This is a difficult one. I will say, Jay is definitely the bigger arsehole here. But I thought this was a very American reaction to call the police. I don't think that's as much of a knee-jerk reaction in the UK to call the police on these kind of things. I personally would have gone with calling his workplace first before involving the police. But it's definitely not OP's fault that he got fired, because that is definitely bad, and I think anyone who works at a bookstore would not want someone's books to be stolen. And there's no way to know if he was being truthful when it came to him saying that he was just getting them appraised. Because if he works at a bookstore, he could have been bringing them in maybe because they do like a buyback scheme, and he could have been trying to sell them to his bookstore to make some money, or he could have been trying to sell them on behalf of the bookstore to get some money. So I definitely wouldn't have trusted that you were going to get those books back. So ultimately I would say you're not the arsehole, but I do think it was a little bit extreme to call the police. But then it is America, and I feel like sometimes Americans do have to do this to get their way, because sometimes you have to involve the police. Now for this one, Reddit did also say not the arsehole, and I agree with that. So the next one has a very vague title, and it is, am I the arsehole for the way I read books? So my instant reaction is no. I don't think there's any way you can read a book that would make you the arsehole if you're reading books that you own. If you're defacing library books or a book you borrowed from someone else, that's bad. But we'll see what they're doing. Okay, so early on in our relationship, my boyfriend lent me the first book of Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archives. It's a very lengthy book. The paperback version he lent me is 1,280 pages. When he brought it over, I incorrectly assumed that it was a copy that no one had read because the spine of the book was completely unbent, and it looked like it could have come directly off a bookstore shelf. I read and enjoyed the book. When I returned it, he commented on how rough I am on books. I was confused because I thought I had returned it in good condition. None of the pages were ripped or marked or written on. I used the bookmark to mark my place the whole time I was reading it. Turns out he meant that there were places in the spine of the book where you could tell the book has been opened, which I thought was normal after reading a paperback book, especially one that is over 1,200 pages. I asked last night if I could borrow the next book in the series, and he said no because I trashed the last one. I mean, fair enough, he is allowed to have rules for his things, but I'm curious what other people think. Is it a reasonable expectation that someone not crease the spine of a 1,200 page mass market paperback? So, this might be controversial at first, but let me explain. I'm going to say not the arsehole, because I think if you have such strict rules around the condition of your books, they should be laid out and explained before you lend a book to somebody. So I don't think the girlfriend has any liability here, because he didn't tell her that, and I don't think it's fair to assume that other people will know that you like books to be kept in that level of pristine condition. I lend out books to people, mainly to family, and my paperbacks I'm not too precious about. If they break the spine, that's fine. I understand some people prefer that, and in fact I often break the spines of my own books. But I've always made it very clear that you must use some form of bookmark. It doesn't have to be an actual bookmark, it could be a receipt for all I care. But I don't want dog earing of the pages, I don't want any rips in it unless it's accidental. But you know, breaking the spine, not a big deal to me. But I do think because he didn't set that boundary, he can't really get mad at her for it, because it is very unreasonable, especially as she said, a 1,200 page book? How are you not going to crack the spine on a 1,200 page book? I'm baffled by this. I tried to read Priory of the Orange Tree and it was a paperback, and I think that one's over 1,000 pages, and there was no way I could read that without breaking the spine. I'm honestly impressed that he did, but I do think it is fair that he isn't allowing her to borrow his future books because he has that boundary and he doesn't trust her to not break it. But yeah, I don't think she's the arsehole here because there was no boundary set, so how could she have known? And basically Reddit said not the arsehole, and based on the comments I can see that people agreeing with me that someone has said that her sister reads books the same way as the boyfriend, but this commenter likes to dog-ear pages, so her sister just doesn't lend her books, and that's an okay thing because she understands that's the expectation, and explaining the same way as I did that he has to let you know the expectation. There's a few comments asking, like, did they do the laying the book flat and then fanning the pages out to break the spine to make it more flexible, or just allowing it to crease? I don't think it's fair to assume people know you can break spines like that in order to break a spine without creating the lines down the edges. So still, if that was an expectation, I would expect that to be explained before. So the next one sounds like it's going to be interesting. It's, am I the arsehole for showing a friend of mine my other friend's fan fiction? Probably. I'm going to go with they probably are, because fan fiction is personal, especially if this is M-rated fan fiction. It could be very personal. So let's see. My female 18 best friend, female 18, is a very talented writer. Nice of you to say that. I love her style and just genuinely enjoy reading her works. She writes fan fiction and posts it on fanfic sites sometimes, but obviously under a username with no connection to her real life socials. I am the only person who knows about her fan fictions and who's behind the account, as she said she is embarrassed of people finding her account because she's scared she'll be made fun of for what she writes. Here we go. Already you're coming across as the arsehole. If she said she doesn't want other people to read it, really shouldn't be showing people. She writes a lot of fanfics, but she writes stories where she inserts herself into the story so she can write about herself dating one of the characters that she's pretty much in love with. Oh yeah, you really shouldn't be showing this to people. Not mentioning the character because she has read it and I don't want to risk her seeing this. To people reading without knowing the author, it just seems like a made-up character, but really she's just imagining scenarios of herself and her favourite characters in a relationship. I don't find this weird at all, so I just accept it. That's really lovely, and I also don't find it weird, but I can see this as very personal. Now, recently I met this other girl, female 18, at my school. She's very nice, and she happened to mention in passing one of her favourite movies and her favourite character from it. Her favourite happened to be the same character my best friend writes fanfiction about, so I told her I knew someone who writes about him and showed her my friend's fanfic account, and she said she'd read some later. I thought if my two friends shared this interest, they can become friends over it. I told my best friend I found someone else who shared her interest in this character and showed her the profile and told her who was behind it and hoped the two could be friends over it. I told her not to worry because she won't be made fun of, but my best friend still lost it at me. She was getting emotional and upset because I told someone about her works and how she's so embarrassed about it, and she's just been mad and upset at me for it now. I don't understand if she was only embarrassed for people to see it because she thought she'd be made fun of. Why is she still sad if I showed it to someone who also shares the interest and seemingly was excited to read the things? I honestly just wanted my friends to end up bonding over the love they both have for the character, so am I the arsehole? That was a massive overstep. Like, oh my god. So I have a fanfic account. It's not active, I've not written in years, but I do have some fanfictions on fanfiction.net. Some close friends who know some of my like more secret usernames would maybe be able to find it if they remembered my secret usernames, but I doubt it. And yeah, I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed if people sent my fanfictions to people without my knowledge and told them it was me, because there's something deeply personal about it, because it's very a vulnerable thing to show how you connect to a piece of media and like show your love for a particular character. So yeah, that was bad. I think the way that they should have gone about it was been like, oh, that's great, my friend also loves that character, you should talk about it, and then introduce the two friends, get them talking about it, and then suggest to the fanfiction writing friend, hey, she really likes this character, maybe you should show her some of your fanfiction. But it should always be driven by the writer, and don't just assume, especially if they have said they don't want other people knowing about this fanfiction, don't just assume it is okay to show it to someone. That was, especially because it's self-insert fanfiction. It's not like they're written about like Bella and Carlisle from Twilight getting together, it is them and Carlisle getting together, and that is just, especially because if they meet and you've told them that this person's behind that fanfiction account, it could be easy for them to realise that the original character in the fanfiction is the author, especially because once you know someone, it's very easy to spot self-insert. Like, it's very easy. So if they got to know each other, they probably would figure it out. And yeah, no, that was bad. Definitely, that is a massive arsehole move. I would probably be creating a whole new fanfiction account under a new secret username just so the original poster couldn't find it again and tell more people about it. So unsurprisingly, Reddit agrees with me and has said, you're the arsehole, and pretty much all the comments are saying the same thing as me. It was secret for a reason, and you should have asked for permission first. Next one sounds like it's going to be really juicy. Will I be the arsehole for telling my sister about her husband's creepy as fuck novel about me? Probably not. Okay, let's get into it. Hi, made a new throwaway account to post this because I am wildly conflicted right now. So backstory. My sister, 4 years younger than me, and her husband have been married for around 2 years, together for 5. Brother-in-law and I dated during high school, and it ended under circumstances that were not ideal. So what we're saying is, the sister's husband used to date the sister. Already a bit weird. Brother-in-law and I have not got along since he and sister got together. My sister essentially believes I'm jealous of her for marrying my one who got away. He is not that, so our relationship has also suffered as a result. Yeah, this is why you don't date the exes of your friends and family. It's weird. The whole situation is already fucked up, and yes, I'm pretty sure it's putting my therapist's kid through college, but that's not the problem right now. Yeah, it's weird. Recently, brother-in-law has begun reaching out to me more frequently. I've been very cautious, but after talking it over with people in my own life, chose to be friendly towards him as part of an attempt at repairing certain aspects of my relationship with the entire family. Last week, brother-in-law asked if I would read a book he had written, with the underlying implication that I would help him career-wise with his aspirations as a writer. Out of politeness and curiosity, I said sure, thinking perhaps I would get a good laugh out of it and a story to tell my publishing friends. Okay, so this person works in publishing. That makes sense. The book is about us. Oh no. I don't know how else to put it. It's a domestic thriller, so think Gone Girl or You. Oh dear. About a man who realises he has married the wrong sister and becomes obsessed with his sister-in-law. Oh my god. Oh no. It's one of the weirdest things I have ever seen. It doesn't exactly read like a manifesto, more like something you would see on the subreddit Men Writing Women. And if you don't know, that subreddit is all about the poor depictions of women by men. But aspects of the story were deeply unsettling to me personally, touching on things that happened to me in high school and later. Oh my god, no, this is horrifying. I don't understand why he would give this to me to read unless he wanted to either creep me out or, as in the story, he intends to leave my sister and wanted to see if this would... Jesus, it's too weird to say. Open a door with me? Oh, that's awful. That's terrible. Yeah, I can see that's the two options. Okay, so here's how I'm conflicted. People have always used art as a form of cathartic healing. If a stranger handed me this book, I would just say not to my taste and move on. That said, this is my sister's husband, and I found certain elements so skin-crawlingly uncomfortable that I almost didn't finish it. That also said, this is my sister's husband, and I am afraid, based on the past, that if I tell her about this, she will flip out on me and not him. And or if she confronts him, he will also just lie about the whole thing. And on the off chance that it's more than just tasteless catharsis, I don't want my sister to get turned into a skin suit. There were no skin suits, but you get it. And it's just a fictional fantasy thriller. I'll either look like a paranoid arsehole or the lawmakers who tried to ban video games after Columbine. Too long didn't read. My brother-in-law and I dated in high school, and he wrote a really creepy novel about being obsessed with me, and I don't know whether to tell my sister for the shitstorm it could cause. So this is Will I Be the Arsehole? So they haven't done it yet. And I'm gonna say no. If this was me, if I was in this situation, I would want to know. But then I'm not as bizarre as this person's sister, because I also would never date my sister's ex. I just wouldn't do that. That's weird. But yeah, I think it needs to be made known, because I don't think it's the same as trying to ban video games after Columbine, because they were blaming the video games for what happened at Columbine. Whereas in this situation, what you're saying is that you're not blaming the book for something that's going to happen. You're not saying it's going to happen because of the book. What you're saying is you think the book is a red flag and a warning sign, which is very, very different. And I would agree that it is very strange. And the fact that he specifically gave it to OP to read and not other people. I know OP works in publishing, but still, it's a weird book to give to your sister-in-law, given the context. I think if they'd never dated and there was no history and they were very amicable, it would still be a creepy book to give to your sister-in-law, but because she works in publishing, I wouldn't say it was a big red flag, and I would say that, and it didn't need to be like brought up with the sister in a concerned way, but this is weird. This is very, very weird, and I definitely think this is something that sister-in-law needs to be aware of, and I think if she does freak out over it, that's not OP's fault, and they already don't have a great relationship, so I don't think it'll be bad if the sister-in-law does freak out about it. I think it needs to be brought up. I think there needs to be a conversation about it, because, yeah, it feels like a massive red flag. I just took a look at some of the comments, and everyone is saying not the arsehole and agreeing with my point of view that, you know, it's creepy. But also, someone said, like, you know, they made a joke about the skin suit thing, but is there something to actually worry about? Is this book particularly violent? And so this is a comment that OP left in response to this. And she said, okay, I didn't want to get into this because it's extremely dark and shitty. So trigger warning for psychological manipulation and really awful story elements ahead. So in the story, the brother-in-law character attempts to leave my sister for me, and in a fit of rage, sister either accidentally kills or purposely murders me. It wasn't really clear, and so he begins trying to arrange the very specific traumatic incident I went through as a teenager to happen to the sister, in the hopes that it will make her psychologically become me. It's essentially torture porn, and it's creepy, and they basically said it's not written from a point of view that leaves room for interpretation or criticism. And the psycho is written as the hero, and in the end he succeeds. It was very dark and unbelievingly unsettling to read. So she then goes on to say, do I think this is something he would do in real life? I mean, unlikely. The whole plot is preposterous. It's a Lifetime movie quality. If the Lifetime movie were written and directed by Ramsay Bolton. I don't know who that is. Oh, is that from Game of Thrones? The torture guy from Game of Thrones? Probably. It honestly crossed my mind that the whole thing might have been an elaborate troll attempt to freak me out because it literally uses my personal source of trauma as a plot device. But 150,000 words is a massive amount of effort for something like this, so you can understand why it's upsetting. Yeah, you definitely need to tell the sister about this. This is weird. And I think there's too much that makes it very clearly about OP and the sister to make it just catharsism. Or is that the word? Cathartic? I don't know. I think if he was just writing a dark thriller with really dark elements to it, no, people do that, it's fine. But the fact that it's based on her trauma and everything else, red flags. Okay, this one sounds interesting. Am I the arsehole for cancelling my wife's vacation plans so I could finish my novel? Probably. I feel like that the title leads itself to arsehole, but let's hear his defence. So, me, 25 male, and my wife, 26 female, are both creative artists. I've been a practicing novelist for about 10 years. I don't know what that means. Does that mean they're published? I don't know. She's been in school for animation for 4 years now. We're normally very supportive of each other's art pursuits, but this recent issue has started a big fight between us. During the entirety of her time in art school, we've had to make a lot of sacrifices because of her workload. We never have time to go on dates or spend time together because she had animation projects due. Whenever friends wanted to get together, I would go alone because my wife was in classes. Anytime I tried to make fun plans for us, she would agree, but then cancel because the workload would pile on. I even had to cancel a non-refundable $150 festival ticket because she found out she had an extra assignment due. But through all of this, I was understanding because I know pursuing art would take an extra amount of dedication. After seeing how hard my wife worked towards her goal, I realised I needed to get the same effort into my writing, so I signed up for a 7-month competition where writers would write 1 chapter a month, give critiques, then end with a finished novel by the end of the contest. I told my wife about this, and she was very supportive in the early stages. However, as the months went on, and she got out of school for the summer, she started getting annoyed that all of my time was dedicated to writing these chapters. Now that I'm finally at the end of my book, with only 3 weeks of the competition left, she's decided we need to leave the house and go on vacation. I told her I just need to wait this last month to finish the competition, but she got mad, saying it's already been so long and we haven't done anything. She started telling me how I can't give up on everything else in life just because I'm focused on a project. She pointed out how I've gained weight since I've been sitting most hours of the day writing these last 6 months. I pointed out that she literally did the same thing during school, and she told me it's not the same because if she misses a deadline, she'll be wasting tuition. My contest is just for fun, not a job or class. I told her it wasn't fair that I waited years for her to be available during her school semesters, but she won't wait 7 months for me to finish this competition. But she insisted it doesn't matter because it's already been half a year that we should have done something. I told her that I'm not doing the vacation until I finish my novel, and she got mad and is barely talking to me. So too long didn't read. I spent the last 4 years spending very little time with my wife because she's been in school, and now that it's summer and I have my own project, she's upset that I'm too busy. So there's an edit. I forgot to mention that I work full-time to support both of us in addition to my writing. Seems to be a lot of assumptions that I'm just writing stories and mooching off her while she goes to school. Not the arsehole. Because the original reason I thought it was the arsehole is because he said my wife's vacation. So I was assuming he was going to say that he said his wife couldn't go on vacation without him because he couldn't go because he was writing a novel. But the fact that she's booked a vacation for the two of them, and she did it without his permission, just in any context, booking a vacation without someone's permission and consent, and knowing that they've got other plans is just icky. Like, you can surprise people with vacations, but when you know they've got other plans, it's just not good. And writing takes a lot of dedication. Like, it does. And as OP has said, he is working as well, so he really needs to be able to find the time, and it is a lot of work to find writing time around a full-time job. And yeah, it is unfair that he supported her through all of this, but she basically never did anything with him for 4 years, and now suddenly she's expecting him to drop everything for her. It's not fair. Definitely not the arsehole here. And I would say they need some couples therapy to talk through the mismatch and the lack of balance in their relationship, for sure, because it's not fair. Last one. Am I the arsehole for demanding my girlfriend tells me her author's pen name? So I am 32, have been dating Siobhan, female 32, for 6 months. That's not very long. She's always been very vague about what she does for a living. Said things like writing and working from home writing. But recently, one of her friends mentioned something and I finally dragged it out of her. She's an author, she writes and self-publishes romance and erotica stories and novels, and while she's not rich, she's able to make a living out of it. I googled her name and couldn't find anything, so I confronted her about this. She said she's writing under a pen name, so I demanded she gives it to me so I know what she does. She refuses, saying she doesn't want it to be leaked even by accident and that no one knows. I accused her of not trusting me and she still refused, which was really annoying. Which was really annoying. I tried a nicer approach and told her that I want to know her fantasies so I can try it out with her, and she told me that what she writes aren't her fantasies but her readers, and she's still not going to tell me. At night, I tried to check her laptop for her pen name, but she changed her password before bed. I was annoyed and told her she clearly doesn't trust me, and it's not fair because I have a right to know what she writes, especially since it's a sensitive topic, and I don't know her if I don't know her pen name. She was furious that I tried to look on her laptop and told me to go home. Before leaving, I told her when she calls to apologise, and that I expect her pen name with the apology. She called me an asshole on my way out. I thought she'd call by now, but she hasn't. My sister told me I was the arsehole and I should apologise, but I just don't see it and need a second opinion. Was I the arsehole? Yes. Yes, oh my god. It's the demanding for me. Like, he openly says that he demanded it. You have no right to that. They've only been dating 6 months, and 6 months is not a very long time, contrary to what a lot of people think. I personally don't think 6 months is a very long time. There's a lot of things that you don't know about each other at 6 months. You're not married, you know, and if this is something that she is keeping a secret from everybody in her life, then I think that is fair enough, especially if she thinks it's embarrassing. I would be concerned if by, I don't know, like a year, a couple of years in, when you're definitely serious and steady, if she hasn't told you, I would then be concerned, because I do think it is a bit weird to hide that from like a long-term life partner. I feel like you do kind of need to know that about each other. But at 6 months, no. And the way he went about it is awful. Like, you have to respect her boundaries. I would definitely be saying to her, like, look, if we're going to be long-term, I'd want to know just for the future. But I don't need to know now. But yeah, demanding it is awful. And the way that he's then said, I went about it a bit nicer, and it was a very manipulative and fake nice as well. Like, he was being nicer just to manipulate her, not to actually do it. And so he is a massive walking red flag, and he's very entitled. And I do think that he definitely is hiding stuff from her. And I feel like there's a bit of a projection here, that he is hiding stuff from her, and he's projecting. And the fact that he said that she has to call him and apologise, and when she apologises he wants the pen name. No, like, you do not deserve that, especially after 6 months. I get the feeling someone is single. I don't think he's got a girlfriend anymore, because that was horrendous. And the thing is, if he wants to know her fantasies, he shouldn't have to read her book. They should be able to have a dialogue where they can talk about it and have a back and forth, and she can be open with him about her fantasies. And it's totally true that she says, you know, what she writes about aren't necessarily all her fantasies. There's so many romance and erotica authors that write what the readers want to read, not what they want to read. And even as a reader, when I read spicy romances, sometimes there's stuff going on in those books that I'm not into at all, but I still read it and enjoy the book. So it wouldn't be fair to say that he expects her to then be into everything she writes about. It's just weird. Yeah, he's a massive red flag, and I think you have to really respect the boundaries of authors. I've always thought about this. If I became an author, I plan on using a pen name, because as much as like my immediate and close family and friends would know, I wouldn't want someone I went to secondary school with to look at that book and know that it was by me, because I have a very distinctive surname. It's a very uncommon surname, so people would very much likely like know it was probably me, because you don't meet many people with my surname. So yeah, I just nope. No. That is so bad. Some of the commenters have also pointed out, he said, I have to know what she writes, which no, you don't. You just want to. I think it is something that should be, in a healthy relationship, should be known at some point in the relationship, but at 6 months, not necessary. So those are all of the posts I'm going to go through today. Let me know in the comments whether you agreed or disagreed, what your thoughts were on all these different Am I the Arseholes. It's been quite a black and white episode, I guess, of these, where they were all either the arsehole or not the arsehole. There was no arseholes here or everyone sucks here. Yeah, so if you like this, please do let me know, because I love reading and reacting to Am I the Arsehole stories, and I would very happily make more. There were so many bookish ones, so there's definitely scope for me to do more of these. So if you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to see more content from me. All of my social media links are in the description below. If you'd like to leave me a comment to let me know you are here, leave me an ice cream emoji in the comments below. Thank you again for watching. Bye!